like this, but this is mine. It's not a matter of chance, just a matter of time. Never look back. If something's standing in my way, I always push back. If something seemed impossible, I never took that. Nah, cause now I know better. Can't stop, won't stop, I won't quit ever. The farthest won't take me, the highest fall, it won't break me. The blood and sweat is what made me, made me. I'ma get mine, just a matter of time.
Welcome everyone to the LCK, everyone. We're back getting ready for the final game of the night with obviously SK Telecom looking like they were going to steamroll their way through past the Afreeca Freecs. But that upward trend didn't mean everything, because it seems like Afreeca Freecs was a much better team in terms of how they dominated SKT in that game 2. Before we get on to game 3, let's take a moment back to that game 2 to see how Afreeca really went about into their wits to trying to come back into this game and trying to win this game 2, and now bringing the set right back to even. Let's look at some of the highlights here. This is when we saw Alistar already spawning back to the base, and we saw that the base, just basically trying to go back to the base was going to be Xayah, and you saw basically with that ward putting that vision on, the interruption did come on, and that allowed Swain to get back to the base a little bit faster. And this is where it was, and which one was the teleport coming from? It was actually aiming coming from the Swain, and this is that bit of a difference, that 1 second where Xayah wasn't allowed to go back home. That distraction that came in allowed that Xayah to try to, I feel like, maybe make a contribution back into this play, but nothing coming from it. And really with Swain going back home a little bit earlier, allowed to come in with that teleport to support his units, and Afreeca Freecs really outnumbered SK Telecom on that top lane dive, and we saw what happened from there, and really early advantage that went heavily towards Afreeca Freecs. And obviously with the competition, they needed early advantages like that, and Afreeca really allowed them to just push their way through, and it seemed like a seamless just a way for Afreeca to come back into game 2 and trying to get this series back to even. But we knew it wasn't all easy sailings, because it did prolong into a lot longer game, and we'll see a couple of actions here. You see Bang just sneaking in with that control ward, knowing that aiming was going to be completely unaware that Bang was going to be coming with that Xayah from that flank. And we'll just basically see the Swain just trying to farm out peacefully and just trying to collect the gold while at it. This is where he comes in, just auto attack with the continuous damage, and just pressured out, aiming, and Bang was seemingly overconfident about his whole situation and has to go for a preemptive ultimate. And you know that happens when the mobility is out of Xayah. It means that a quick kill is going to be going to his opponents, and Yasuo with that knockup, with that ultimate, was going to make quick doings of that Xayah, and really thought that Bang, feeling all confident about the fact that even though his team wasn't completely ahead, he wanted to make some plays, obviously as the current team captain, to make some plays to make the comeback a possibility, but that wasn't the way to do it. And we actually saw Afreeca capitalize once again, being very calm under pressure and trying to be composed into making all the right plays happen. And well, you look at obviously what the fans had to say. course, it seems as if Afreeca is still very resilient, and even after that kind of just a terrible Game 1 loss, it felt like they could have just gone back down to their knees and really gave up on that one, but really resilient to come back into this one, looks strong, and now we just don't know what Game 3 will be going to. And we're gonna go to that one-line summary, and Dangun is especially asking for a good one-line summary, and I think I wish I could ask him for this. Oh, so he's asking fire with fire. So, which one's the fire and which one's the second fire? There's another question for Bito. I'm sure he's not going to answer it because he can't hear me right now, but I'm sure you guys can hear it, so maybe you guys want to give some input on that one, because we're going to Game 3. Very excited to not knowing which team is going to take this one. But for the meantime, back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Joel. Let's find out who the MVP is first before we try and dissect what fight fire with fire means. It's going to be the 7-0-3 Yasuo performance from Kuro. And yes, he was so good, he even moved his camera out of position.
This man took the Fire Summoner and gave us some sweet fire team fights on the Yasuo.
Go. That's the meaning.
He was really powerful by the end of this game. The moment you see the Bloodthirster on a Yasuo, that means that bad things are happening to you. That was the 6th item, that was the death knell for SKT. Game took a very long time to close because low ability to siege on the side of Afreeca and some mistakes on their path, but this game was decided, I think, by the positioning mistake from Bang top and bot side. The top side one, definitely the match decider. Otherwise, it went on, it went on, it went on. But when there needed to be someone to rip through team fights, by the end, it was Kuro.
It was. Everyone was thinking that maybe Bang could do it again. Maybe once the Xayah got the items. Well, she did. And in the end, it wasn't enough. This was a team fight that was so incredibly close. 1-for-1, but then this happened, and the game was over.
Cask into last breath, into instant death, dead before she got back on the ground. Was the Xayah there? So, what does this mean for game number 3? I'm sure a lot of people are calling for subs for this game number 3. Waiting to get that confirmation to know if anyone's coming in. 12 consecutive games for Pyrian. Will it be broken in this game number 3? By the end, this was the scenario where 5 hits was going to kill Tal. Doesn't matter how many skill shots you miss when you are a Yasuo with red buff.
And yeah, a billion items as well. Did certainly give him a run for his money though, as a few of those were missed. But as you can see, not going to get any player changes, guys. No FLICKR to hit the rift, no Blossom, no Leo, no one that you want to see. No Spirit either. So Mowgli going to stay in, do the hard yards. Game number 3. This whole Afreeca Freecs squad now with the momentum of a really grueling game number 2. We'll move back on to the red side of the rift, and we're into Champion Select now. Let's see what SKT do as far as changing up the bans, and that Yasuo one certainly fits the bill.
They definitely don't want to think too much about it. It was Alistair, Rakan, and Zoe in game number 1, so maybe a Tucson special will slide to the red side. The Shen, I think both teams would like to pick up, as Shen has done some great playmaking in this series, so far winning champion in both games, I believe, but rolling on to the draft, the Talia probably has to be banned by Afreeca. Get a bit situational from there. Be surprising not to see Talia second ban. See, on the right side of your screen, Zephyr. Considering the options here are Afreeca Freecs.
Tahm Kench was actually banned as well, but Talia was the second ban in game number 1 for the Afreeca Freecs, so that makes sense. We'll see whether the Tahm is still going to be what is taken away from Effort, as Rakan taken away from Tucson as per usual. Alistair still available here.
Wonder what the resulting first pick is. If we do see the Tahm Kench ban, Orianna has been very high priority. The Shen could also be considered. Alistair is first picked away sometimes, and they say whatever to the Tahm Kench by banning away Ezreal instead. SKT need about 3 seconds to lock in their Tahm Kench.
I think that's an overstatement. I think that was about 0.2 of a second, and that Tahm Kench was locked away, so SKT knowing exactly what they want, but now Afreeca can get exactly what they want on the other side of the map. A lot of junglers available, that Shen also available.
Ori Alistair is available, and you could think of that as a duo that already gives identity to a teamfight composition. They hover the Alistair, but they will lock in the Varus. But as you're taking away Varus, Tahm Kench is the annoying marksman comp you don't want to give over, so I don't mind the Varus pickup by Afreeca Freecs.
Also needing to lock in the Varus here because Ashe does so well into the awesome dudes on the bottom side of the map as well. So now can challenge that Ashe pick as the Afreeca Freecs with only 8 seconds to go. Thinking about what they want to take. The Alistar still just going to be taken as a Afreeca lock in their bottom lane.
So Varus, Alistar versus Ashe, Tahm Kench. Almost 100% going to be the AD carry support duo.
Yep. Doesn't take a genius to figure out that line of thinking, as SKT not going to give away too much by locking this one in here. Still 10 seconds to go, as they do want to give themselves as much time to figure out these 2 rounds of picks, as Bang has a huge yawn, and we're going to switch the camera.
Sejuani available, all junglers available actually, only Taliyah taken off the jungle pool. Nocturne not considered big pick in Korea anymore, I know it's still contested in other regions. Hovering the Gragas here, and they will take it. I wonder if that's a preemptive pick because of Mowgli's penchant for enjoying the Kindred. It's a bit of a blocker pick to Kindred, as Explosive Cast does a number onto the Lamb's Respite.
Also picks away the champion that Mowgli did have a decent performance on in game number 1 as well. Sorry, game number 2. Now, a few options here. Zac would be an interesting one.
It's been an old pick for Mowgli. We see it into the Sejuani matchup pretty frequently.
Yeah.
The Gragas matchup a bit different. Can body slam Zac out of the air as well. Okay, interesting. So Mowgli jumping onto the Zac. That gives them backline threat, and Zoe on the mind. Zac does a number on Ashe Tahm Kench, because if you kidnap the Tahm Kench when he's got someone in his belly, you're getting a free twofer there. So
yep,
a lot of threat onto the Tahm Kench. I guess that's why they were happy to leave open Tahm Kench first pick. They feel like Zac is the compositional answer to the Devourer in a team fight.
And also, Alistar Zac is so much CC that's almost guaranteed if you land that kidnap. That headbutt pulve comes in right over the top, and Afreeca Freecs can layer on whatever CC they have available to them on top of that. So I really like it. SKT with a lot of disengage options as well this game, so they can certainly play around what Afreeca Freecs have put together, as Vladimir and the Kennen going to be banned. Afreeca Freecs banning the Vlad is an interesting one.
Maybe it's going to be Keen on the GP this time. It's been a winning pick for them. I feel like they're setting up for it a little bit. The Afreeca Freecs will be even more zone control. With the ultimate, Jace also a top laner to respect when it comes to the top lane champion pool.
Yep, Darius also another champion that is available. Was banned in our first 2 games as well against Keen. But now angling towards that Vladimir means that Darius not going to be as nice.
Ooh, Galio.
Yeah, going back to an old favorite here, and this would be one hell of a pile-on composition for the Afreeca Freecs if they do lock this one in.
But it would be very much one note, so without the Camille ultimate, I think the Galio's too far. I understand why you would consider it. The GP blind pick makes a lot of sense. I wonder how far we are away from Tal busting down a Cassiopeia top into the Gnar is a very obvious one, but the Gnar banned away this time.
Did just get that AP ratio buff on the queue.
Someone's going to play it. This guy's played Quinn already, so who's to say? Yorick Mori's been played into the GP to success for Optic Gaming. Dokla playing that one. That is a really, really good lane for the Yorick, but we never see Yorick.
Nope.
The Rise picked up potentially for mid or top lane.
We're going to find out, though, potentially here, as SKT thinking about their next pickup. The Rise Tahm Kench combo is absolutely beautiful, using the Abyssal Voyage and the Realm Warp to get you all around the map at all times. Shen slunk through this entire draft, but will not be picked up here by SKT unless Tal wants to play at top lane.
Jace open in his pretty prototypical lane into the gangplank where you can punish him in the early game. It's not going to be the fancy stuff this time. It's just going to be the Jace from SKT. Very strong rotational comp with the Realm Warp and the Abyssal Voyage as well. Mobile with spotting coming through from the Hawkshot. Afreeca Freecs' final pick. This will be a heavily nerfed Talon if they want it. 30 damage off the rake. The Vel'Koz is one that
buffed.
Kuro has played well, but of course was the reason they lost that game, Atlas, you remember, the face check onto the control ward in his last game on the Vel'Koz. After a great start, Kuro will jump onto Vel'Koz, strong matchup into the Rise, can stand and deliver. Saw this to great display yesterday and got the big buff like you mentioned. 0.2 AP onto the Q for even more damage. The Tentacle Monster may in fact be the nightmare for SKT fans, or just going to be a thing to laugh about. Afreeca Freecs lock in the comp here. Let's see how the Jace is going to do topside. Some games can be decided by Jace. And will the Jace even be a top laner as they start the flex?
Yeah, we're seeing it here as 20 seconds on the clock now as SKT will be playing the Jace in the mid lane. That's going to turn that matchup on its head as Pyrion will be able to answer the range that Kuro has pretty damn effectively and bonk him out of that ultimate if he's able to close the distance as well.
It's a much stronger matchup than the Ryze, because the Ryze is so predictable when he walks up to E or W. You get hit by the Vel'Koz E, the Unraveled Earth, and you just die to a turnaround all in. The Jace is going to be more slippery, harder to hit with the skill shots, but could still be dispatched where he stands with the ultimate. First mid lane Jace we've had all season. Atlas was in bot lane, was in top lane. First time we're seeing the mid lane. Let's see if Pyrion can make it work. Can definitely take aggressive trades against the Vel'Koz. If he's using the To The Skies aggressively, then Vel'Koz has to get out.
Yeah, he certainly does. And I really like also the Ryze being picked up into the gangplank on the other side as well, given the fact that Tal really does have that ability to play the casters a little bit better than a lot of our other top laners here. Cuvée does come to mind as another one that has a penchant for that, but SKT going to mix it up in the solo lanes. Is it going to be enough to throw a wrench into the works for Afreeca Freecs? Let's find out as we hit the deciding game of the night. Still packed house here in the Seoul East Stadium tonight. It's getting relatively late. Afreeca Freecs, their fans still out in force. SKT, their fans definitely still out in force.
World kill experience goes to Kuro. Good
There
influence
we
to
go.
level 2, and they get 2 wards here. Wow, double sweeper from both bot laners. Now, let's talk about what SKT can do. They have Jace mid lane, they have Gragas. Remember, we have Zac back in the meta as a tertiary pick, and invading Zac jungle and slowing down his jungle was one of the big meta strategies a year ago, and the LCK was also in the spring season as well, slowing down the Zac, trying to contest him. Remember all those games where Longzhu at the time were able to attack SKT on that Zac pick, and vice versa when Kuz jumped onto it. Zac can be attacked. Also, the GP can be attacked as well in the early game. If SKT can play a real high-tempo game, which Jace roams from the mid lane, the Ignite kill pressure onto the Vel'Koz. If you get defensive summoners around, start battle warding as the Gragas, maybe you can slow down the team fights, that Afreeca Freecs have a lot of options.
Yeah. Well, they'll have to navigate through that as Pyrion trying to demonstrate the power of the Jace here in the mid lane already. Keen probably going to have a fine time in the early few levels, but we'll see whether Tal can actually begin bullying once a few of those items does come in.
Here's Resolve Tree Gangplank going for. This tree has allowed Keen to win hard matchups already. A Rift Rivals was able to win the Darius matchup going for a Resolve Tree. I think
Gangplank has been incredible.
It has. He's 5-1 on the pick, and his only loss, he was hard carrying and then some, had most damage dealt in the game. Blank coming for this invade, trying to kill Mowgli. That's what we talked about.
It does have that level 2, gets the bop. It's now Blank considering the body slam, but knew that he didn't want to have to flash to get himself out. That's going to just bully him away from this red buff.
So the reason we talked about is not just Zac's inability to skirmish early, it's that Jace, pre-level 5, is going to be able to push and roam onto the Vel'Koz, and that's what you can see. He will respond first. He's gone Longsword Ignite Jace as well to try to find pressure. This is the sort of game where you want to keep the tempo on. The vertical jungling is enacted here as he's taking the red side, and now we see the top side jungle given up. Blank is going to be spotted, trying to do as much damage onto GP Zac as possible. And of course, the stopwatch down, they're going for the dive.
Yep, Pyrion's going to be up here as well. Teleport going to come out. That's going to be the Varus, interestingly enough, was thinking about trying to save his top laner. Going to cancel it. Now Blank looking for more. Doesn't have explosive cast, of course. He's level 2. SKT zoning the Gangplank away from experience.
It's about 3 minion waves as well. There's so much. He has to go back, but he can't get there, and Zac doesn't provide defensive coverage. They're losing everything around Keen. This is a disaster. He's at 6 minions.
Yeah, and Tal's going to keep this pressure on. Blank's still up here as well. Not threatening the dive because Pyrion had to go back. But there's Headbutt Pulvers. Bang, just going to get devoured. But Mowgli's going to make his way down. Does have a pretty full health bar. Bang, not even going to flash as Stretch Armstrong is going to land. They bonk heads. Cleanse is there, the heal is there, but they hold on to the flashes. And now a minion wave is going to help them do a lot of damage on the return.
Confidence from both Bang and Effort to hold on to their flashes there. Both other summoners used, but no ability to capitalize in Peanut-esque fashion. GP's just happy he got back to the lane. He was at danger of being zoned out of so many waves. Blank's not done. This is what you do. When you're facing this Zac GP, you try to hold them down. Gragas and Rise will win skirmishes. Jace rotates first before there's multiple levels in the W for Kuro. Can't move, and he has the cleanse also to show respect. Cleanse against a Jace, that's pretty bold. Yeah. Didn't know, of course, it was going to be Ignite Jace in the mid lane. Obviously, had the confirmation.
Maybe he didn't
it was gonna
actually
be Jace.
switch it over in time, as he thought it might have been the Rise instead.
See, it's not so much that. As Vel'Koz against Ashe compositionally, you need either QSS or Cleanse.
True.
Otherwise, you poke for a Q and you die. But then you see Ignite Jace, and you're like, okay, well, this sucks.
Hey,
So
you can cleanse the Ignite.
that's why Ignite is the right choice, because you have the Ignite, and now Kuro will always orb walk back at every moment, afraid of a all-in trade, and he knows that Gragas has the run of the jungle. Therefore, Jace has lane control and can roam. It all plays into take over the topside jungle, hold down the gangplank, the tempo gameplay you expect with a mid lane Jace.
Yeah. It feels like both of these gangplank compositions, game 2, now into game 3, getting abused just a little bit by each side. See whether Tal's going to be able to keep this pressure on. Of course, Keen able to get back as the teleport wasn't actually used from Tal, sorry, to get him back into this lane as Mowgli. Going to walk over Vision.
That was Gragas' ward, remember? That's the reason they don't know about it, because Blank warded for his top laner. So yeah, the Gragas warded for his top laner there to provide coverage. Blank lying in wait.
Yeah, see whether Mowgli's going to be able to survive this one. No barrel available
Chilling
yet.
Smite just to open up space.
Yep, gets the body slam down as well. Another teleport gained here on the top side of the map.
It's the gangplank,
Yeah,
so this
Keen's gonna
time
come back in.
not as big. The wave and just a horrible spot for the gangplank.
It was well orchestrated by
This is
Tal as
really
well. He
bad
put it
also.
there.
He stepped over a ward, so Gragas knows that the Zac is around the mid lane, but Blank not going to look for the gank. Keen's flash, importantly, still up.
Another fantastic ward. Like you say, yeah, trying to get him even more information. That's the ward you were talking about. Control ward is also going to be taken as there's double control ward vision now available for Tal, who's got his tier, happily stacking that one up. And Keen, he's at the mercy of the Gragas' position here this game.
You know he's so tilted with where the wave is at. He's like, really? I had to
Yeah.
deal with all this, and the wave is in a terrible spot. He finally gets ultimates. Now he can ult the wave next time it's in a bad spot.
See whether he just holds it straight away off cooldown.
As a Rumble player, I'm used to ulting
Yeah.
waves.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Stupid wave.
there's so many counter picks to the champion I enjoy playing. That's what has to happen.
Yep, I get it. I mean, Misfortune, same thing. That's my favorite one, just bullet timing a minion wave. Well, Keen, he's at least got his barrels that he can farm at range with, but it does get a little bit more difficult as Gragas is potentially going to turn up. Mowgli's just going to go back. Sets himself up here just for a potential counter gank, but you can see Tal, he's got so much information. Even that lane ward to make sure that the Zac's not going to come in that way. There is no way for the Zac to gank, and that is crazy because he's a dang Zac.
Also interesting how much of a lead Ashe has in what has been a very isolated bot lane matchup. No one has gone bot lane this game.
Yep, teleport was cancelled by aiming, if you remember, meaning
Yeah.
that he wasn't able to utilize that. Bang had his heal on cooldown pretty early on, so not as much of a detriment there to aiming.
There was that one Zac gank, but since then,
Yeah.
been able to open up a nice CS lead. Keeping up the flash, very important to make that happen. Things get a bit more comfortable as King can ult waves. Vel'Koz has level 7, so now he can clear waves with double Ws. So definitely the earliest part of the game is where the most pain is going to be laid onto the Zac and also Keen on this gangplank. No stopwatch online just yet. We're going to be up in a second. So they've weathered a bit of a storm here, have Afreeca
Yeah.
Freecs. It definitely gets better for them as the game goes on.
Well, Bang waiting for that level 6. You can see the experience will actually be enough here as this minion wave dies.
They don't know Gragas is here.
Yeah, and remember, there's no Devour on the side of an Alistair. There it is. It's going to land immediately and delivered back into the team. Headbutt flash is pretty good, but Effort gets the Devour, just eats him where he stands.
Tyrion also here.
Yeah, not going to get the empowered
They
shot blast,
really
but
want
there's the
this.
Abyssal Voyage. We're going to stack this one up real quick, and Bang is going to grab his kill. But can Mowgli get the work done? Oh, doesn't get the body slam on the side of Blank, and the kidnap. The special delivery of Effort is going to give the kill over to Kuro. But in the end, it is a 1-for-2 trade in favor of KT.
Really
SKT.
It's really important that they're able to pick up at least one Atlas because aiming has teleport. He's only level 6 with the death timer that was buffed in 8.13 to be shorter in the early game. Gets him back, and it's not a huge gold trade. the way of SKT. Really nice roam, though. This is how you use the mid lane Jace. He's so fast around the side lanes. They already had control. We mentioned how it was better times for Zac and GP. Well, the bot lane felt the brunt of the power that time. Afreeca trying to pick up the Ocean Drake. Remember, this was a great steal away by Blank in game number 1.
Yeah, Secret Agent Gragas actually going to be backing here on his control ward, because he knows exactly what's going on, but doesn't have the manpower in order to take this one down.
I've never heard of 002, so I'm not surprised that he wasn't able to pull anything off.
Yeah. I mean, he was lost, I think. Just the Riders gave up.
Now, 6-1-2. I've heard of that guy. 6-1-2. Numbers can be funny. The only number these two teams care about is 5. They want to get to 5th spot. They want to make it to playoffs. And this game, of course, may not be a best-of-1 playoffs, but it feels close.
Whoa.
And speaking of close, that's a lot of damage onto Keen.
It is, as Tal. He's only got a tier, remember? And he's probably sitting on almost Rod of Ages money up here towards the top side with 80 CS, 10 minutes. Not too bad on the side of Tal. He had a day out in game number 1. Wants to have another one here in game 2.
Summoners down on the bot side. Effort cycling through his summoners. Just ghosts in lane randomly.
Yep.
Abyssal Voyage not up just yet. That's going to be something they're going to consider. So much respect has to be shown by aiming Tucson on the front foot. What a strong lane Alistair Varus is. In scenarios like this, it really is frustrating.
Yep. And not going to walk up into that second brush. I believe Vision was known about here by SKT. So not going to be able to find anything is Blank, but just setting up for it. As soon as that arrow is off cooldown, feels pretty free. Just hang out. Mowgli, he's down, but
Chips
remember,
in the night here.
and with the control ward Vision, he's spotted. Kuro as well is going to find Blank. Knock up. He's going to register there as well as Elastic Slingshot. It's good. And the Gragas could just get disintegrated. Abyssal Voyage to come in. The timing on the kidnap was real nice. And the Cannon Barrage comes in to confirm the kill. Meanwhile, the Abyssal Voyage was stopped. The Afreeca Freecs are going to be able to stand here and deliver. Arrow is going to land from Bang, but effort was just too low. And Mowgli, he's coming around to try and claim even more.
He's not spotted just yet. Effort's going to spot him. He's going to face check him now.
Yep, finds him. 1 versus 2, though, is going to mean that Zac's not going to be able to get too much, but going to eat his globules, and everything's going to be fine.
Giving SKT a bit of their own medicine. They've been zoning people off turrets since very early in this game, but not going to find too much value. Bang's last bit of mana is a W there, the volley enough to get them away. This matchup is still going well for the Rise, but a bit of a stabilization from Keen, who probably is going to be Spectre's Cowl into the Trinity Force. Just a acceptable loss for the gangplank.
Yep.
So what Pyrian's next move will be, he needs to keep up the tempo plays. Jace mid is not a thing because he's not a control mage. Commonly a thing. He's not a control mage, and you really need to hit the game running with the Jace. Was able to do that once. Look for more kills on the bot side, got an assist, but wasn't able to pick up the second kill, and there was the answering kill from the Afreeca Freecs. The game goes on with much more reliable about what Afreeca Freecs comp will do in a team fight than SKT's. It doesn't mean there's no chance. There's great rotational play available for the Realm Warp and the Abyssal Voyage. But if you lose map control, those rotations are going to be defensive ones, and that's where the value starts to fall away for SKT.
Also, Afreeca Freecs have a lot of champions that they are extraordinarily happy to have. Aiming, one of his best performances was on this Varus. Tucson now has his engaged support option. Kuro has looked good on the Vel'Koz. Keen has his god-tier gangplank that had so much attention early and is now only 20 CS behind and happily farming it out against the Rise, now that Blank has not been giving him as much attention and the Cannon Barrage is available for him. Now on cooldown, but is going to be back up relatively soon.
You'll notice that Afreeca are surrendering a wave. Reason for that is the control ward is dominated by the Tahm Kench, and they're respecting the play to come in from the Abyssal Voyage. So you'll see against a Tahm Kench lane, if you're red side, you take the Gromp pretty easily. It's much easier to take the Krugs, it's a bit more annoying.
Yeah.
You just take the Gromp and you wait for the minions to push in. Can't just let the minion wave freeze because you're not sure about what the enemy's doing. They might be roaming themselves, so that's the reality there. You just take the Gromp. It's a camp Zac is happy enough to give up. He's better on the AoE camps anyway.
Well, Pyrian taking a bit of poke here from Kuro, which is actually great news because top side of the map, SKT will have priority around the Rift Herald. That has spawned already as a 6 slingshot being charged from Mowgli, but he suspects that he's on a ward. And speaking of this Rift Herald, it is going to be started here from Blank.
Love to pick this up. One of the few ways to push through GP ult, GP barrels, and also the Vel'Koz wave clear would be a Rift Herald. SKT could try to leash it upwards. Rox Tigers put off that cool move where they leashed it upwards and ended up not easy to contest for the enemy jungler, but for now at least, I think Mowgli's job is about stopping things. He's in the mid lane.
Yeah, Pyrion gets a bit of movement speed, but still has to flash to get out of the way of the Disintegration Ray of Kuro. That now on cooldown might mean that SKT can find some options, but having no flash on the Jace is a problem as Bang, once again in a very weird position, and the ultimate barely going to get out of the way of Effort, who used the Devour to save the Ashe. The rotation was odd.
I don't know about the flash as well when it comes to odd moves, because why would you rush Hex Drinker then flash this early before the Hex Drinker's even popped? I don't believe he was researched. I don't think it was doing true damage. So maybe just too much concern shown by Pyrion. It is a must-win game. It is a different scenario. Some of our other games, the Pyrion experiment, people were obviously umming and eyeing about for a long time. They beat Gen.G, and that was the real contender they beat to give people more faith in SK Telecom. This is another one, though. You're only as good as your last series. All their series are must-win. See if Pyrion can have a turnaround game. 3 years, this has definitely been his weakest of the 5 sets he's played in a row so far.
Yeah, a passenger in their victory on the Swain, and then not able to get anything done, really. On the Orianna in game number 2. Now on the Jace has a lot more tools available to him. Should be able to help take down Shelly here as well.
Yep. They still have this tempo. They're still able to push forward. They pick this one up. They can start to roll down the outer turrets at 15 minutes. No real turret damage has been done when it comes to getting close to lethal. They spot Zac on bot side. Ultra safety for SKT. Free Rift Herald. Good feeling for SKT.
Yep, they'll easily gather that one. Top lane outer turret also has taken a lot of damage, so SKT will be able to push this lead ever forward. 500 gold.
Damn, that was
is
quick.
The lead, and I'm not sure whether you want to do this, to be honest, because it's going to get a charge on a turret that's basically dead already. Okay, feels like a wasted Shelly.
Maybe they're going for the 2-for-1 special. That'd be the only reason to argue it. They would have seen Mowgli going bot side to answer the turret.
Well, they're going to have to push forward here as another Disintegration Ray comes in. The boot back from Pyrion this time around, but now the damage is going to come forward, and Keen picks it up all too easily with the Cannon Barrage. Kuro almost had that damage himself, but in the meantime, Shelly is going to continue pounding here on the top inner turret. Keen doesn't have ult to save himself.
Keen gets to the backside, gets the eye, clears it out, and Afreeca also. May not be a solo kill, but it's a big moment for Kuro in the mid lane. This comes through from Keen. It's more gold for the GP. Going on to this turret dive.
Yep, there's the body slam as Blank has the ultimate, throws it in there, but going to be a little bit late as aiming teleports in to save him. Dragon's going to fall as well as Mowgli did most of that work. Just Afreeca trading up here against the Rift Herald play. That's bad news for SKT.
Trading up in pretty clean fashion at Atlas. They don't use flash or the stopwatch on that play. Keen, you require killer instinct to be able to actually force something out of him. He will not use his summoners. Nice moment from Kuro on this Vel'Koz, standing and delivering, and Pyrion had no way to outplay with his flash on cooldown. Knight wouldn't have changed anything about the all-in. The blue buff is picked up, and things going better than expected for Afreeca after SKT were making nice aggressive moves to shut down the Zac and GP top side early.
Yep, and it just feels like as soon as Keen picks the Gangplank, you can put as much pressure on him as you want, but it's just one of those champions that feels like it's always going to get to a certain point in the game, and you have to try and play around Keen being on this power pick for himself. Has once again got to that point. He, yes, of course, is behind in farm by a relatively large amount, but he's escaped the laning phase now. The Gangplank will be able to get himself around, use his barrels. There's another knock-up, an effort. He might even be in trouble here as Bang was fully researched. The Devour had to be used to keep him safe.
Good news for SKT fans. Even though they're behind, they are ahead in gold by about 300. The behind term doesn't really apply. The game is very even at this point. And SKT's comp is very reliable in the mid game. It does what it says on the till. They have double AoE mobility spells in the Abyssal Voyage and also the Realm Warp. They have good pick, very strong pick CC on this team, and picking up some kills and turning onto the Baron is a very real thing for SKT. They have a marksman play the Ruin King. They have good Baron threat from the Rise as well. So while Afreeca have done some nice plays in the last 5 minutes or so, it hasn't really changed the state of the game, and SKT, there's still a game they win.
Well, Mowgli's looking to try and get this kidnap as well. The knockups are coming in from everywhere, but bang! He's going to be the most important target, and aiming takes him down. SKT now underneath their turret. It's the only pick that they've got at the moment as Perian walks over a control ward. Afreeca Freecs have full knowledge again with another disintegration ray, and Kuro's having a day out on the Vel'Koz.
Perian top lane with the Ignite, trying to rotate out of the Vel'Koz lane after the bad feels of the last moment. They got a double control ward down, nice engage by Mowgli, and they're walking up again.
Yep, they're looking for Perian. There's 4 members against 2 here as Blank even gives his position away, and Afreeca Freecs will take their second turret of the game. Tal trying to get work done bottom side, but he's just trying to deal with Keen, make sure that he's locked down. It's not going to be enough, even getting hit by these barrels. It's not the same situation where Tal's able to play so aggressive, but thankfully does still have the passive shield to help him win these trades.
And is that the momentum shifter? Is that the one? It feels like a dagger in the heart of the SKT hopes of qualifying for playoffs, and also where their world's qualification does lie. They have the points from finishing 4th in spring. There is still a real chance they will go on to playoffs for when it comes to those world qualifiers, at least. In the bot lane here, Keen managing pretty well with only a little bit of magic resist from the Merc treads. The map control for the Zac is the problem here for SKT. With their tempo draft, they would want vision onto the Raptors, vision onto every camp, and to see the Zac coming, but Afreeca put down 2 control wards. Mowgli found the engage, and that has swung the pendulum even further to the side of Afreeca Freecs.
And Kuro hasn't had to use his summoner spells almost at all this game. It's just been a really smooth Vel'Koz experience for him, not in silly positions and able just to navigate distances so nicely on a pick that can be a real problem for. Tal, at least the investment in the early game for the Rise has paid off. He's able to grab lane priority on the bottom side and even out those turrets and even out the gold entirely. Afreeca just has double Ocean Drake to put them theoretically ahead.
Theoretically, part may be important. I think effectively right now, I would give them the lead, but as we mentioned, SKT have a very fast ability to turn this game into a Baron with a pick, so definitely right now, things relatively even. If Afreeca though, I feel like the game is won. If you look down at the minimap, you see control wards nearest to the river, and a Zac ready to load up with no information to the side of SKT. The moment you're Tahm Kench and Ashe against basically any other jungler, you think, I got my Tahm Kench, I'm ready to go. I'll get a couple of turret shots in and then move away. Against the Zac and his ability to kidnap, flashes down on effort, the chance of getting out are low. They need to know everything about the Zac, and that's really slowing down SKT's mid lane plays.
Well, thankfully, Blank is able to control Mowgli a little bit here. Shock Blast is going to fly forward as well as they're trying to get the Zac, who tries to kidnap, but doesn't get in there as Perian. He's going to get researched and taken down in the belly of his Tahm Kench. Effort eats the grey health, but it's not enough. And Bang has to flash to get out of the way, and watch as his catfish is going to die. Afreeca Freecs, beautiful trade back, and no one even dies.
They thought they had the catch on the Zac, they don't get it, and now Afreeca Freecs walk up to the Baron. Are they going to start it here? They are. They have aiming with this play the Ruin King. What are SKT going to do?
Well, they're going to use Tal to split push on the bottom side. It looks like they're planning on giving this one up. Papa Smithy, teleport's going to come in. Okay, so we're going to see whether Tal can actually affect this one. But Blank's incredibly low. Bang, he's got absolutely no mana, and Tal has to be the hero. Can he get the Flux in here as he is going to use the Realm Warp? Blank, he's going to get in there. That goddamn Baron again! 2 games in a row, Blank is the hero! Tal over to the side, wants to get Mowgli, doesn't! They sacrifice the Rise, but SKT get the Baron.
You can't keep him out of the pit after the Realm Walk. The Realm Walk to get Gragas into the Baron was really smart from SKT. They get in, the smite is good for Blank, and that means that this game is far from over.
Oh my goodness, Blank 2 in a row, the smite steal god. And look at this, special delivery.
And Afreeca are DPSing it because they don't put 2 and 2 together. It's so creative, but so well done by the side of SKT. They lose 2 more members, but they stole the Baron. And they lost 4 kills for it, but you'll call #worth if you're an SKT fan. I think Afreeca Freecs are still in a really good spot in this game. But the gold lead doesn't show it, and that Baron buff on a couple will delay the game for SKT.
Yeah, the engage control that Afreeca Freecs have with Mowgli playing so well on the Zac as well as Kuro having a lot of space in the back line of these teamfights. Feels like their front-to-back fight is more reliable from the Afreeca Freecs. But SKT with a Baron buff might be able to snowball themselves a real advantage here. Currently 500 gold, but that could just extend. There's no teleport available on Tal. Use that to get into this Baron pit. 3 Ocean Drakes isn't necessarily the most fantastic situation, but Kuro, he's going to be pretty happy, as well as Aiming's ability to go through his mana relatively quickly.
How is it still so tense? Game number 3 here. It looked like SKT would pick up an easy 2-0 after they powered through in game number 1, but some mistakes from Mang led to Afreeca seizing it fully with the team fight draft they had in game number 2. That one went long, but could have gone even longer.
Also, it felt like Afreeca Freecs cleaned up their play in game number 2 quite a lot. Being able to play more reserved, more controlled, had vision available when they needed it. SKT suffocated them in game number 1, but they could not do anything like that in game 2, and now once again in game number 3.
But does the Baron buff get them any structures? It's a steal, so obviously much harder to get a huge Baron buff power play.
Yeah.
A lot of standing gold. Can they actually harass Kuro away from this turret? As you mentioned, doesn't like using summoners ever.
No. And he's going to hold on to it here as... Oh, I thought we were going to have like a Harry Potter wizard battle there as the Siege minion and the Vel'Koz's projectiles look relatively similar. Doesn't happen, and the Siege minion's going to die. Or maybe he's Harry Potter in this scenario.
Oh, doesn't have the Baron buff in this scenario, so isn't going to be getting the work done the side lane that Pyrion was in the previous game.
Yep.
Ghost popped it, going for this.
Arrow's going to fly forward, and finally a summoner spell hit by Kuro, but that's going to buy them enough time. They take down the outer turret in the mid lane. Delivery on the cow is too soon. Has the ultimate, is going to survive this one, decides not to re-engage. Pyrion is going to land the accelerated shock blast. SKT scatter, looking to try and get as many more openings on this map as they can find.
A lot of huff and puff, but only a turret will go down. Still, SKT will feel good about finally picking up the mid lane outer turret that was delayed by Afreeca for 25 minutes. That turret being up represents so much for the Zac because it gives them so much space to look for those Zac engages, and so few ways for SKT to actually scout out anything that's happening on this red side jungle from Afreeca Freecs that has gotten them so much value so far. Most of the good moments have come from Zac either engaging or being engaged on around the Raptors. The safety of that happening again is going to go down for a little while. I want to talk a bit about the Vel'Koz because actually there's been 0 games of Vel'Koz in the LCS regions in summer of 2018. No games in EU, no games in NA. The 0.2 AP ratio buff, 20 extra damage per 100 AP is so big on a short cooldown spell. It's another one of these small buffs, but the small buff to Orianna made her first pick, first ban. The small buff to Vel'Koz for the LCK, where we already saw so much Vel'Koz, is a very relevant change.
Yeah, it's super huge, and Kuro is showing us exactly why. 3-0 and 5 now. By the way, PubSmith, if you want to know the time, ask an Afreeca Freecs member, because everyone has that information. Afreeca, in fact, able to get a Baron buff power play for themselves without even getting the Baron.
That's because the Baron was pushing minions into Afreeca Freecs and not getting too many structures. So the kills afterwards also, you'll remember, they got 2 kills.
Yeah.
So that was the reason there, but SKT didn't really have much business picking up a Baron. They stole it away, so you're definitely feeling good about the Baron not being worn by Afreeca Freecs.
Yep, and it certainly was going to be a different story had the Baron gone the other direction as well. That may have been just the death nail for SKT. This time around, certainly not, as the gold is neck and neck. This stage of the game, look at both compositions. It's hard to know exactly where the late game lies.
I give it to the side of Afreeca. I think the Jace is once again not snowballed. It's going to struggle. A lot of value in Ryze and Ashe, and Gragas and Tahm Kench do their job, but give it over the side of Afreeca Freecs. But execution can be the SKT way. Rotational play, that can be the SKT way. Getting a flash out of Kuro feels really good too.
Yep, the arrow, of course. Going to make sure that one comes in, so you might say, oh, Bang missed an arrow. Nope, he got it. Now to get that flash is so important, as Kuro hasn't had to flash so far, I don't think, this game. Until this moment, 27 minutes in.
I would say that Kuro and Aiming more reliant on their summoners than Pyrion and Bang, and that could be relevant here. Tahm Kench can spare the blosses of one, and Jace is very mobile around a fight. But Cleanse will be back up, so theoretically Kuro will have 1 summoner every time a large frost arrow is sent his way.
Might be one moment where maybe an arrow comes up before the Cleanse comes back up, as well as the Flash, potentially, but I think you're right, Papa Smithy. I think the Kuro should be able to at least utilize one of them. Might be a different opportunity for these guys. Aiming somehow manages to miss that cannon creep. Incredibly upset.
Again, cannon creeps are not dying this week.
Yeah.
It is definitely a cannon minion awareness week.
I was going to say that. But I don't like those, because that's just a lot of money going begging. It's bothersome. Worth so much more now. Ugh, am I a cannon minion hater?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Aficionado. If you were talking about eating minions, and remember the Korean term is to eat minions, so I guess they're aficionados if they can get the cannon minions. But
makes very short work of the Rift Scholar, speaking of minions that are dying.
a lot of Ocean Rays on the side of Afreeca. I noted that it was 3 so far this game. Tal.
Wandering casually forward here as he just realm warps to get himself very close to a Disintegration Ray and then towards the rest of the Afreeca Freecs. That was such a weird play, Tal.
We call that one a panic. He just panic altered in any direction that wasn't there. And unfortunately, it was a delivery to the side of Afreeca Freecs. In service of what, though? Baron's still on the map. Mountain spawning in 10 seconds. That would be a lot of Drakes. They could actually spawn a 5th one if they got it in the next 40 seconds.
Yeah, well, Teleport is available here for Tal, so he's going to be back up in 30 seconds. Be difficult for Afreeca Freecs to fully commit to this one, as they are going to jump onto this Baron. Teleport is going to come in. Keen's going to get himself back into this fight.
No realm warp this time, Atlas.
Yep, not going to happen. Blank's going to have to get himself in there this time. Shock Blasts are pretty good for poking people out of a pit like this. Blank's able to get some vision. Hawkshot's going to be there for Bang as well if they want to. Effort from over the side. They do get the headbutt, and then the Baron is going to get taken down, but now can they win the team fight? Remember, it's 4 versus 5. Mowgli gets himself in there as Keen gets rid of Blank. It's all too easy, and Bang has to disengage. Afreeca Freecs finally get themselves the Baron.
This time they're able to problem solve their way there. Effort didn't have the smite either, had the cleanse from the unsealed spellbook. No way to get him in there because the Realm Warp was the one that went down. They lose the turret, but they'll take it, even though Keen's a bit tilted that his barrels missed on that case, and all SKT can take is a compensatory Mountain Drake on the bottom side.
Yeah, and that is not the consolation prize that you want to be picking up either, as Tal. He's going to blast cone his way over, trying to make friends with his team again is going to be difficult after this super weird play.
Yeah, he just went for a panic. He panic ulted, it didn't go well. Tucson was there, took him down. That is a sign of panic. And we were talking about the compensation Drake. Almost feels like the participation award if you lose this series, Atlas, because of what it means for that top 5 and how this game is all about playoff implications. We only have 6 days of regular season matches left. And SKT would be at the whims of so many other teams if they lost here. Same story for Afreeca Freecs if they go down. Our runners-up from the summer season, from the spring season. They push forward, they love to break the base. Let's see what SKT can do.
Yeah, Afreeca Freecs also in complete control of their destiny as they're going to be taking on the other team that's on the same match score as them before this series as well. So Hanwha Life Esports going to be next cab off the rank for the Afreeca Freecs. Great news for them, but terrible news if you're an SKT fan. This is okay news, as the inner turret is being taken by Tal very easily. As SKT able to stave off the Afreeca Freecs, moving 5 members into the mid lane.
They have summoners on Bang and Pyrians. They feel like they're not going to be dived. Trying to make a trade. But if Afreeca gets a couple picks, the game could just end.
Well, taking a trade here against the team that has the Baron buff is certainly good news. As you can see, Tal, he's able to take this one down. They're looking to try and just win the game. Cannon Barrage comes in, 3-man pulverize was good from Tucson, but they haven't managed to pick anyone up just yet. Arrow is going to land, but can they keep them off? These Nexus turrets, Disintegration Ray, not enough as Tal does move his way in and means that they're not going to lose their inhibitor on the bottom side of the map.
So a Baron for 1 minute 11. Only 1 member down for SKT.
Yeah, aiming going to be free hitting these Nexus turrets, so only 1 is going to remain as the Afreeca Freecs should be able to do it off just 1 Baron. In goes Pyrian, he flashes forward and he explodes to the damage of Kuro. Now Tal's going to be able to answer 1 back. It's only on to the Alistair though, and it's a double kill now. Kuro making this Vel'Koz look completely busted. 1 kill after the other. The flash forward from Keen to get space for them on the Nexus. And Afreeca Freecs, they've done it. 4,000 gold's the only lead that they managed to get. But they take a Baron and they win the game.
Afreeca Freecs reverse sweep SK Telecom T1, and why they don't silence the SKT calls for that big rush to the playoffs. They're only going to be whimpers for now because their schedule is difficult and they don't control their own destiny, even more so than previously. Their game score was the worst of the 3 teams at 8-5, but now at 8-6, and Afreeca Freecs going to 9 match wins. Things get even more difficult for SKT, and the shouts for a change in the mid lane will only get louder as well.
Yeah, the first series loss since they went for that big run with Pyrian on the squad. Unfortunate for SKT, they looked so good, so clean, so controlled in game one, but Afreeca Freecs really holding on. Shout out to Mowgli there as well.
Do notice that Koma, who is not the drafting coach at the moment, is in the booth straight away. He rushes in there to just try to rally his troops. He has been unsighted alongside FLICKR for those 13 games they have played since they started that run against Hanwha Life, but this is the moment he comes in to try to reassure them. Obviously, everyone is well aware on the side of SKT that this is a pretty mortal blow for their playoff hopes and maybe even for their Worlds qualification hopes, depending on what happens with Hanwha Life and top 5. SKT won game 1. We're taking out games 2 and game number 3. Let's see what happens in the rest of the season, but maybe Afreeca Freecs have finally steadied the ship after sinking for the best part of the post-Rift Rivals play.
And you have to remember that they're up against Hanwha Life and Jinair to close out the season, and SKT are against Griffin and Kingzone. Good lord. SKT do have a rough run, but they can do it if they can knock a peg off from Griffin and Kingzone, and maybe something goes right here for them as the season concludes. It's going to be huge news, but now with this loss, it means that the Afreeca Freecs, if they just close out their next remaining games, they should be able to pip SKT at the post.
And Hanwha Life also will be in that hunt and have some games to play. Afreeca Freecs, 32 minutes 55. Shorter game. The Vel'Koz was the tentacle monster of nightmares in this game. Korean Vel'Koz, man. I feel like the Korean Jace may be to one side. We've had some poor Jace games recently, but the Korean Vel'Koz is the new meme because this champion, after the small adjustment, is right up there with Orianna when it comes to mid lane picks. You need to fear from Korean mid laners. Great game from Lava. Recently, Kuro played well, but lost on it recently. This time, they closed the business to Afreeca Freecs. MVP of this game should be Kuro. He played fantastically well, 700 points on the season, and still in the hunt for the MVP race.
Yeah, that's 2 in a row there for Kuro, and you know, Kuro is an MVP man. He is very, very good at getting MVPs just in general, and slinks his way towards the top. As we close out seasons, Khan not spending as much time on Summoner's Rift for Kingzone as well means that there is an opening to get Kuro up there if he can get another few MVPs in their next 2 series.
And he talked about strength of schedule. Maybe there's 4 more wins for him to pick up MVPs in the future for them. So, SK Telecom T1, so close, but so far in the end. Like how they started up, if you're going to run the Jace mid, you have to pressure the Zac and the Gangplank. They were able to do that, but when it fell away hard. You know, the old adage of old habits die hard.
Yeah.
The Vel'Koz eventually had a Zac diving in and knocking people up again and again. The solo kill basically enacted here, ended up being claimed by the Gangplank ultimate. GP has a laugh at the expense of Pyrian. Mowgli just got to dive in again and again. That's what Zac does against Tahm Kench. That's why Afreeca Freecs were willing to leave it open. Had confidence in Mowgli Zac, and they continue to shut it down. Maybe there's a different game that SKT wins. They were winning until they weren't. Afreeca Freecs, really well done to close out this game. Nice stuff from them, and who knows what it means for their season, because Kingzone versus Afreeca, a rematch of that spring season grand final, could still very well be a wild card match in some.
Well, now, after this match, it feels like Afreeca have all but claimed that 5th spot. Hanwha Life, the last team that can possibly get them out of there.
Or Afreeca Freecs' own hubris could lead to multiple losses.
And if so, it's all about them losing to teams like Jinair, things like that now. But we're going to hear from them and see what things are like in the Afreeca Freecs camp. So take it away with some translation, Joel.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Joel with your interview translations. The last one for the night is going to be SK Telecom not winning. Something that we've been starting to get accustomed to. Is not going to prolong for today's games. And we're going to see Afreeca Freecs very happy over there when they get SKT. See how they feel. You did win against a very strong SKT. I'm sure you feel pretty good about that. Recently, our games haven't been great, but for our team, and we were kind of worried that this would be extended a little bit. But today, the games were pretty well fought well again for us. It's something that we want to just keep this flow going, so we feel pretty good about that today. A lot of people do say this is an important thing, but obviously the coaching coaching staff, did you feel maybe something that was different in terms of how you guys got the winning strategy on? For the first game, I was trying to pressure the tower with the Jace, but I couldn't do that, so that was a little disappointing. Well, after that though, you guys did a lot. Well done for that super save that did come through to get the game 2 victory. Did you feel maybe you had to go prioritize that pick next time? If I didn't get one death, I think that wouldn't have come up. Getting that death a little bit early, that really cost us big time. Well, even against SKT, but you talk about just like every other top laner, you do put a lot of pressure in. You feel like maybe you have a hard time controlling your mentality. Everybody comes to top lane, seems like, but I do get attacked quite mentally, but our teammates do contribute in trying to find some advantages elsewhere. Well, for Kuro, it really seems like the picks and bans have been very customizing in the ways that you went with the Anivia today, and of course with recently, maybe you thought that maybe some of those picks are really coming back to you, and obviously you personally and individually doing well with these unique picks today. I had a really bad jinx with trying to get a lot of sleep, but yeah, I actually had a lot of sleep today, so it definitely made me feel a lot better for today's plays. You were trying to, instead of extending your practice hours, you do try to relax your body a little bit. I mean, today was an 8 p.m. match, so we did practice until and do our meeting until the past midnight, but we did get a good night's sleep, so individually getting that sleep made me feel good. And let's go to game 2, where Yasuo did pull off an MVP worthy performance, and we'll see how this all went about. Do you feel satisfied about your Yasuo plays? I was a little disappointed. I feel like I could have done a little bit better. You really say you were disappointed. And no death. Great plays, but what more do you want? It's not really that, but when I do have the flash on, I have to, make something happen, but it feels like those opportunities didn't arise, so I think I could have shown a lot more. And really, Kuro, Yukal, Chovy is like the king of Yasuos in the LCK. Well, for Yukal's Yasuo, I think it was against us actually, so. But I definitely remember that, and maybe I want to teach him a lesson next time around. Kuro doesn't play the Yasuo often, but when he does, it does look quite good, so maybe looking to bring it back next time around. Well, you did get the win, and that was the most important thing, and well, of course the Baron went against you guys, and that's a thing where it could have been really tough against you guys. We got the Baron stolen quite a lot today, so but I feel like maybe we want to just take a sigh in relief on actually winning off of that even. Of course the pressure would have been on you, and maybe anybody would give the words of positivity, or do you just give negativity when you get the Baron stolen away? We do make a lot of screaming noises, but I was trying to not scream for me personally. I did say that, even if we gave the Baron away, we were looking towards the late game. Well, in the end, you guys did recover and did win that late game, as you said, Kuro, but let's go over to game 3, where it was the most important thing, and the Jace. It was a swap all in the end. We thought that the Ryze and Jace going up against that. I actually saw the Vel'Koz. Why was the pick came about? I was a little bit worried, to be honest. And the lanes phase is really tough when you're playing against the Jace, but I was a bit scared in the earlier parts, but the game went pretty well for ourselves, so we're pretty surprised about that. Joaquin, you probably started off the pioneering of the top Ryze. Hey, I mean, the opponent was really trying to get the top lane, so I was actually trying to defend well against it. You did say that trying to escape against with the gangplank. Yeah, when I do have a little bit more of a comfortable laning phase, it does make the game a little bit better to work with. We do have to see how the team fights that changed a lot of the prospects here. Of course, really just a distancing with that Vel'Koz became key all throughout. Just a knock-up and obviously with the ultimate making the Jace really just immovable here. I mean, the Jace was, you know, he didn't have flash, but he was just hopping in and trying to be funny about his business, but he definitely had paid the price there, so a little bit of a mistake on his part. And you do say that maybe this it's a new pick, Jace. Obviously not with the Jace. You do play the Vel'Koz against it, and you do seem a lot better. Maybe you want to say something about the fans out there. Vel'Koz with the slow and the CC. If you get hit by one of those, you do get a really good kill opportunity. So be sure to get one of the CCs correct. I mean, the cooldown is actually really low on the ultimate, so you can just use it anytime you want. Basically, just whenever you get the CC, just use the ultimate right away. It's just an automatic combo. But now we're still on the discussion where the recent patch has changed the bot lane into now a traditional ADC. And really now it's still contemplating over where the bot ADCs will stop using the traditional and maybe start using the non-traditional once again. What's kind of your thought about behind it? I do like the range ADCs a little bit, but I think the coaching staff and also the players want it a little bit more, the non-traditionals. Do you feel a little bit less pressure with it? I do like the range ADCs a little bit better, but we know with the team composition we needed some of those non-traditional ADCs, so we decided to go for it today. Still situational is going to be the final answer by even the Afreeca Freecs members, so undecided point of yet. But you talked about Afreeca Freecs not having the best of runs recently, but now against a very strong, that was a stronger looking SKT, you do get the victory. And you do want to say anything last before we wrap up this one? We do lost the first one, but we're glad that we got the rest of the games to win out the series. Kuro, you do have basically the MVP all to yourself. Maybe you want to talk about, obviously with Kuro, you can't lose to any of the mid laners now. You want to say something about them? I think if we lost today, I think we honestly would have lost our chance to go to the playoffs. But today's win kept us alive, so we want to really try to win as many, get to the playoffs, and hopefully to the World Championship in the end. That's going to be our biggest hope here. And really a meaningful win for these guys, because now the playoff hopes stay alive. That just means that the World Championship hopes stay slim, but still alive for Afreeca Freecs as they try to keep their ventures going. But a win for them should make them feel good and for their future games as well. So back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Joel. It's fantastic news for the Afreeca Freecs, definitely, as you have a look at their schedule. Able to get that reverse sweep, Kuro picking up the double MVP, but we get to chat to Keen anyway. That's always fantastic. And Afreeca Freecs feels like a nail in a coffin that SKT weren't considering, given the fact that they were on a great run.
Definitely reanimated were SKT in their last 4 matches, but crashing down to earth once again at a 0-game score. I believe it's 20-20 wins and losses. 8 match wins, 8 match losses. They now have a losing head-to-head against Afreeca as well, as they 0-2'd them over the course of 2 series. Hanwha Life Esports they're 1-1 against, but Afreeca's schedule seems very unlikely they won't reach at least 10 match wins, let alone 11 match wins. So the race for 5th is now sliding away from SKT. It's not over.
No,
match against Griffin's going to be a very interesting one, given that Griffin have their own standings to talk about.
Yeah.
That is going to be a Saturday match that Achilles will be joining me for. We're back tomorrow. Hanwha Life versus MVP, as Hanwha Life's journey to finish 5th will be followed. And then we have the journey of a team that for once is favorites to win the regular season, But the moment you start saying the words favorites and KT roster, weird things happen. It's against Jin Air. Jin Air just won their series against Griffin. Can Jin Air beat Griffin and KT and throw this whole race into complete chaos?
Yeah, that would be complete disarray. It also would mean that Jin Air would dodge out of relegation most likely as well. And we'll get more information about that in the previous game. So tomorrow is going to be very interesting. Hanwha Life as well, if they manage to pick up the win versus MVP, then they go up against Afreeca Freecs.
Yep.
They'll be getting to 10 match wins, or someone is. And then SKT are feeling like they're going to have a very, very rough time.
Could be that decider match with Hanwha Life versus Afreeca.
That's exactly right. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it from us. We'll see you again tomorrow. For now, good night.
You run the system, but you're